BMCC, ASOC, Atlas. This is a great day to be proud of your nation. And all of you listening as well, whether you're at Banana Creek or the Causeway or the rooftop of LCC or the ASOC and other places around our nation, like the Bay Area building and other places where you are viewing what's taking place. Again, for you, it's a great day to be proud of your nation, great day to be proud of Boeing, great day to be proud of UOA and NASA. And we are one nation under God, indivisible. And when we together use the power of that combination, we can do some pretty amazing things. So LC, with that, we are ready to put some fire in this rocket and propel this spacecraft to the International Space Station, where all these fine Americans have designed and have prepared it to be.
Calypso, take us to space and
terminal count.
Roger. All steps are complete prior to terminal count.
And with that, we are ready to go to space, Lauren.
Hard not to be emotional listening to those words from Butch. I'm sure we'll be playing that speech back for a long time.
Will be T-minus 4 minutes and counting. 3, 2, 1, mark. .355.
Ground pyros enabled.
Launch pad ordnance circuits are now enabled.
Hold. Flight control received to CCLS, hold it. Approximately T-minus 350.
LC switch not ready. All personnel turn to recycle section. Operation 80. LC switch is not ready. Clock stopped at T-minus 3 minutes 50 seconds. Starliner, you should not hear any vent at this point.
Starliner standing by.
ALC, reset countdown clock to T-minus 4 minutes and holding.
Active. LC Puny 2.
Go ahead.
Sensor tank pressures are stable.
Roger.
LC Peony 1.
Go ahead.
Atlas tank pressures are stable.
Roger. OSM, place SRB ignition SNA switch to disabled position.
SRB ignition disabled.
Okay, consoles, step 60, report launch vehicle status. Atlas lead.
Atlas tank pressures and helium bottles stable. Atlas propulsion system stable.
Roger. Centaur lead.
Centaur tank pressures and helium bottles stable. Centaur propulsion system stable. Has gas readings nominal.
Roger. Vehicle electrical. VE channel 1.
Avionics system stable.
Roger. And LC can verify no indications of hazards. Flight, LC.
LC Starliner systems are stable.
Roger. Starliner, last arm switch to off.
Last arm switch is off.
SCS in pre-flight mode, SSVAPs inactive, OCU safe, and EDS in test mode.
Roger. Arm control, deploy the crew access arm.
Roger.
Starliner, proceed with ordnance deactivation.
Action 1. Ordnance deconfigured, all off.
Roger.
LC,
Go ahead, ALC.
Countdown clock is reset, T-minus 4 minutes and holding.
Roger. Flight, verify CST 100 ordnance is safe.
Verified.
Okay, all stations, recycle systems back to T-minus 4 and holding configuration. Hold time occurred at T-minus 3 minutes 50 seconds. Report status at completion. And flight LC.
LC.
CST 100 power to external.
Copy. We'll put it in order.
LC Lockson.
Go ahead.
Subset Bravo, Atlas Pilot 2, continuing topping.
Roger.
LC Lux 2.
Go ahead.
Substep Golf, Centaur LO2, continuing topping.
Roger.
LC Field 2.
Go ahead.
Centaur LH2, continuing topping.
Roger.
LC
LC.
Peony 1.
Go ahead, Peony 1.
Atlas Pneumatics, pressure stable.
Roger.
LC, Peony 2.
Go ahead.
Substep Echo, CEC active.
Roger.
And substep Foxtrot, sensor pneumatic system stable.
Roger.
LC Prop 1.
Go ahead.
Substep Charlie and Substep Delta, Atlas Propulsion and Hydraulic System stable.
Roger.
LC ECS.
Go ahead.
Substep November, ECS set point stable.
Roger.
LC, this flight control.
Go ahead.
Subset Kilo, flight control ready.
Roger.
If you're just joining us here at Cape Canaveral Space
LC
Force Station,
Go ahead.
Crew access arm is deployed.
Roger.
we did have a automatic hold of our ground launch sequencer shortly after we began our terminal count for today's launch attempt. No indication yet as to what caused that hold of the automatic ground launch sequencer. The team is still evaluating data. In the meantime, the team is active recycling the vehicle to a good holding state so that we can prepare for our next steps. But for now,
Roger.
we are holding at T-minus 4 minutes, recycling the vehicle after a hold of our ground launch sequencer shortly after picking up terminal count for today's launch opportunity.
LC has gas. Go has gas. Substep Hotel has gas. Normal scan pattern including CAT. Roger.
And flight LC. Channel 1.
Flight. Yes.
Roger. Secure CST-100 prop system. Last valve to remain open.
Flight copies. Probably take us at least 5 minutes here.
Yeah, copy.
We're going to send it over to NASA's Daryl Nail over at Hangar AE for some continuing coverage of our current
FTS
status.
LC.
Daryl?
Thanks, Dylan. And I'm listening to the NASA operations manager's loop.
Recycle status.
Recycle.
Roger. SYS LC.
Yes, LC, GC30 is ready.
Roger.
As you mentioned, the ULA team now safing the vehicle, making sure all the high-energy systems that were prepared to launch are now put into a safe configuration. At 12:21 p.m., roughly T-minus 3 minutes and 39 seconds, we got a hold.
Launch Director, LC, Channel 1.
LDM1.
Yes, sir. So we had a hold call at T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds by the CCLS launch sequencer. So at this time, we've completed our recycle back to T-minus 4 and holding configuration and ready to proceed with a scrub crew egress operation.
Yeah, roger that. Standby.
Roger.
There you heard confirmation of the scrub call for this launch attempt today. Again, this was the ground launch sequencer, essentially the computer that launches.
LC.
Roger.
This is the computer that is
Okay, all
charged.
personnel going to Operation 85. OSM, LC.
OSM.
Establish the BDA roadblocks and open the flight hazard area.
Roger.
And all personnel on Channel 1 will be starting an approximate 65-minute hold at this time for flight crew egress. All systems maintain T-minus 4 and holding configuration.
The hold time is not relevant at this point. The fact is they're getting it into a state where they can go through and get the crew out of the spacecraft. But I was mentioning the computer. This is the computer that when we go into terminal count, launches the rocket, brings a number of systems and a huge number of operations all at a rapid pace. Something with the GLS, it's not understood at this time what it is, caused the GLS to throw an automatic holdout at T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Arm control.
Yeah, per step 40, can you give me that call out on the status of the crew access arm?
Crew access arm deployed and latched. Arm control is terminated, ready for personnel access.
Roger. And FELC?
Go ahead.
Start CAT TVM system monitoring.
Roger.
RLM LC?
RLM on 1.
Disable RLM line items for crew egress per red line report.
Roger. LCFE.
Go ahead.
CAT TVM system enabled. Readings nominal.
Roger.
The NASA operations manager now conveying to his team that they are looking at possibly a 24-hour turnaround.
Go ahead, flight.
Yeah, CST-100's on ground power.
Roger.
Of course, there'll be a lot of data to look at, but
and flight LC.
LC, go ahead.
Yeah, just looking for your estimate for prop system securing, to support pad entry.
Need 5 more minutes.
Roger. Thank you.
everything you're hearing now is about getting the crew, which is the primary focus at this moment by the launch team, out of the spacecraft and back on the ground. So configuring the crew access arm, it's locked in. They continue to do the operations which are in their schedule for a launch scrub, moving through those methodically. The report out that we heard by the CGLS was that at the time of the scrub, when the hold was listed, it didn't appear to load into the proper configuration. ULA will work to try to understand the cause behind that. They don't know that at this time. They'll be studying the data. NASA's commercial crew team will be right there with them, helping and assisting throughout this process. So we can see on the views here inside Hangar AE that they have the crew access arm back locked into the Starliner. You can see that on your screen there. Essentially the team now working just to recap, if you're just joining us at 12:21 p.m. Eastern Time, T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds until liftoff. A hold was given by the ULA launch team, an automatic hold that was issued by the ground launch sequencer, the computer that takes over terminal count. The reason for that hold is not known at this time. The focus now by the launch team is to make sure the rocket is in a good and safe configuration. That's many of the calls that you're hearing out. And also that they, once it is safe enough, that they get the crew of Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, have them exit the spacecraft, come back down the elevators, and head back to crew quarters. I want to bring in United Launch Alliance commentator Dylan Rice.
System stable.
Pneumatics?
And yeah, Daryl, the team continues to work through the process to establish a stable configuration so that we can start pulling the crew off of the Starliner capsule. Still no update yet in terms of what caused the ground launch sequencer abort, but just like loading the crew, we establish a safe and stable configuration with the launch vehicle before we begin the egress process, and the configurations are very, very close to the same, actually. We'll be maintaining the propellant systems in a topping mode and not changing the state of the Atlas or Centaur as we go through the approximate 1 hour process of egressing Butch and Sonny from the Starliner capsule. But teams are continuing to evaluate the data and look into the cause of the ground launch sequencer abort. In the meantime, we will start to see indications that the team is re-entering the pad. And in fact, the direction was just given to allow the blue team back into the pad. So we will start to see that activity now, and teams come back into the pad, back up the tower, and begin the process of opening up Starliner and egressing Butch and Sonny.
Yeah, so that's a good sign there. You mentioned with the blue team coming back to the pad, they are the ones that will pull the crew out of Starliner. We heard that the pad area is cleared for them to come in. It's a good sign. Dylan, what's your time estimation on the team going through the rest of their procedures to make sure that the crew can go ahead and get up the elevator?
Actually, I think that we're there. So it's been just about 20 minutes since the hold was called, and in that 20 minutes time, we've established those configurations. In fact, we don't even let the pad team come back through the fence line until those safe and stable configurations have been established. So, once the team will of course be standing by at the fallback area, and they were contacted via radio and told to proceed back to the gate, and they will proceed through the gate and right back up to the crew access tower and on up to level 12 where they can begin configuring the white room. So we are there at this point in terms of being ready to redeploy the environmental seal, which kind of encloses the Starliner door into the white room, and then we'll begin opening up Starliner so that we can egress Butch and Sonny.
Yeah, we can see from this shot here that environmental seal is not on. Of course, this is the configuration right before you move the crew access arm either away or back to the capsule. So you can see the open air between the white room and the crew capsule. That will take the blue team, of course, getting up to the white room to put that environmental seal in place, which they are on the way. I'm monitoring some of the camera feeds. They haven't arrived yet, but they are on their way, as we've heard from the loops. Dylan, just give us an idea of the role the ground launch sequencer plays in the final 10 minutes of terminal count.
So essentially, the launch sequencer is performing all the actions that are occurring during the terminal count. So you will hear our operators provide status throughout the terminal count, but those operators are not actually performing manual actions. They're just reporting on the actions of the ground launch sequencer. So, for instance, the vehicle propellant tanks will transition from a topping mode into a pressurization mode as they are pressurized to their flight pressure. Once the tanks are pressurized, we'll start to configure the avionics systems as well for launch, and ultimately hand over to from the ground computer to the flight computer, which handles the actual final seconds of the countdown prior to liftoff. But the ground launch sequencer is securing propellant topping. It's beginning the process of pressurizing the vehicle for flight. It will be transitioning the vehicle from the ground electrical systems to the onboard batteries, and enabling the ordnance systems ultimately leading to the engine ignition sequence once the control has been handed over from the ground computer over to the flight computers.
And you've mentioned just some of the things that GLS does, right? It is a very busy computer in the final 10 minutes, as you mentioned, going through all of these very timely high-energy systems that are being configured at the last in the last minutes before liftoff. To recap, if you're just joining us, the mission, the NASA+Boeing's crew flight test of the Boeing Starliner was scrubbed at 12:21 p.m. Eastern Time when a hold was issued by the ground launch sequencer for the Atlas V rocket. It was at T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds, just a little less than 4 minutes before liftoff when that abort was called. The crew of Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, who are inside the capsule at the top of this rocket, as you can see here, are safe and are awaiting. There you see a shot of them. There's Sonny on the left and Butch on the right. They are awaiting the arrival of the blue team to come out to the launch pad and help them egress, which essentially means get out of the Starliner capsule and head back to crew quarters. It's a process that requires that team to do some manual work to lock in the crew access arm to the Starliner capsule. And so they will wait for those moments to arrive. And if we've got Lauren Brennicke on, our PAO with the Boeing team. Okay, we just heard a call that the blue team is entering the pad, and I can see them on the closed circuit television. They are in their van, as you can see there, the shot there, arriving back. This is the team that will head back up the launch tower and up into the White Room. They will secure the crew access arm to Boeing Starliner, open up the hatch, and get the astronauts out. Just prior to this, 20, 30 minutes or so, we've been listening to the ULA team safe the Atlas V vehicle, basically going through a number of steps to make sure that the tanks for the liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen, the RP-1 propellant, make sure everything is in a safe configuration before they allowed this crew to get on the pad. And you see the van there with the 321 backing up to the launch tower. Lauren, I want to ask you about, you've spent a lot of time studying the procedures for Starliner. Talk a little bit about the egress and this process that we're getting ready to undergo.
Yeah, Daryl, a lot of what they'll be doing is really what we've watched during this countdown, just in reverse. I'm listening on some of the side channels to the teams talking about going through their checklist, and this is something that we've practiced many, many times in the simulator, and the teams follow along during those sims where a scrub is often the case in some of the different sim scenarios they put together. And so they will go through this checklist that they know very well, where they will go through the everything that it takes to basically get the spacecraft back in the shape that it needs to be in so that we can turn around and do this again and go for it again. Of course, we have launch windows tomorrow, as well as the 5th and the 6th. We don't yet know how quickly the turnaround would be for this, if it's something we can get back in order for tomorrow, or if we need to wait until the 5th or 6th. But Butch and Sunny are veteran astronauts who are very used to the world of scrubs. And during the last scrub, we even talked about how Sunny says that sometimes the scrub just knocks the pressure off a little bit, and they're used to it. So if you've heard Butch's voice on the loops in the last 20 minutes or so, you can tell that his spirits still seem high. Of course, it's disappointing, but it is part of the business, and the ultimate goal is just to make sure that our precious cargo, Butch and Sunny, are safe.
Absolutely. Well said, Lauren. And there you see the blue team at the base of the launch tower, getting ready to head up the elevator to make their way to the crew access arm and then into the white room. We did hear, of course, they wouldn't be there if this weren't the case, but Starliner is also safed. We talked about the rocket, the Atlas V, and the procedures they had to go through to make sure it was safe for people to go back to the pad and to pull the crew out. Starliner, as you know, was also safed. And they are headed in the elevator, getting ready to go up. Dylan, you're a launch conductor, and so you've done a number of launches. In situations like this, there can be a 24-hour recycle. We don't know if that's going to be the case yet. But tell me about what's involved when ULA recycles a launch 24 hours later.
Well, Daryl, that's true, and even in a situation like this where we're still working through the details of the issue that caused the hold, by default we're going to set ourselves up to come back at our next earliest opportunity, which is tomorrow. So our default position is going to be setting up for that 24-hour turnaround, and there are a number of things that go into that coordination. The first of which would be immediately coordinating with the Space Launch Delta 45, our Eastern Range partner, to let them know that we are intending to utilize that day, which actually has already been scheduled as a backup launch day. So we'll be coordinating that with their teams and all the support that we get from the SLD 45. And additionally, we'll be working to establish our systems on Launchpad 41 in a state that is ready for another launch attempt tomorrow. So even though we do still have some work to do this afternoon, which will include detanking Atlas and Centaur, at the end of the day, probably approximately 4 hours from now, we'll have the vehicle fully detanked, and we'll have the systems turned around and ready for another countdown opportunity tomorrow. So that could take a little bit longer if the anomaly team comes up with some troubleshooting steps that we need to run through, but have not heard anything like that just yet. For now, I think our team is still looking at data, but we're going to proceed as if we're going to make an attempt tomorrow until such time as we learn that wouldn't be possible. But for now, we are proceeding for a launch attempt tomorrow.
Yeah, the great point about the launch attempt is already there and available tomorrow if the NASA, ULA, and Boeing teams decide to take it. It's worth noting that T0 is already set for June 2nd, and it's 12:03 and roughly 07 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Again, 12:03:05 p.m. Eastern Time, as you're looking at the blue team configuring the crew access arm around the Starliner capsule, where inside astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams are inside awaiting to be egressed or pulled out of the capsule. You can see the tethers that the blue team are attached to for safety reasons. They're 212 feet up in the air on level 12, and you see they've got make sure their tethers are attached well. as they work to bring that environmental seal down. We'll see them doing that.
And, Daryl, in situations like this, we have the rocket here on launch pad 41, and that does get most of our attention, but it's easy to sometimes lose track of the fact that we do really have a large network of assets that support missions like this. So for instance, we've heard from the Houston team, so we've got the folks in Houston that will be taking actions as well. We have support from the TDRS satellite network, and we'll be coordinating that for support for tomorrow. So it really is a large team that supports these missions that is beyond the launch site and beyond what you can see, as the rocket lifts off the pad that supports all these missions. And so it does. There's a little bit of effort that goes into coordinating all those assets and making sure that everyone is ready for a launch attempt the following day.
Absolutely, Dylan. The number of teams involved, as you mentioned, Space Force, just one of them with responsibility for the range. Of course, your team, United Launch Alliance, with a great effort there with the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, Boeing with the Starliner spacecraft, NASA with a commercial crew program, and the engineers and managers who oversee that program to make sure that America has access to one of its most cherished resources, orbiting laboratory 250 miles above the surface of the Earth, the International Space Station, where astronauts there were hoping to get an arrival 24 hours later of this particular capsule. But as Sonny Williams has said at more than a couple of meetings that I've listened to, there's nothing magical about this time or date to launch. You want to launch when everything is ready, and that is not today, but the teams will study whether or not that opportunity is tomorrow. As you can see there now, the blue team, one member on his stomach, making sure to seal up that environmental enclosure there in the white room. And Lauren, taking this hatch off is a process as well. We saw them secure it, and now they're getting ready to remove it.